Auckland salesman Dave Barrett, who made headlines in June after one of the longest detours in sporting history. A mad dash flight to England via Sydney and Dubai on his way to the Football World Cup in South Africa. And all because he didn't know his passport needed a full blank page in it on arrival in South Africa. Dave says if his travel agent had told him this when he specifically asked him, he wouldn't have had to spend an extra $4,000 on his last-minute detour to get a new passport.
Ideally, I'd like compensation from Flight Centre for the amount of money I've lost.
Dave has already asked Flight Centre for this, but they declined, pointing out that in their terms and conditions, which Dave signed, there's a clause that says passport validity is the customer's responsibility. Dave also hadn't taken his passport in when booking the tickets, meaning their agent hadn't been able to see it. Now, Target's found the one blank page rule isn't unique to South Africa either, although most other countries only require it if you need a visa, not across the board like South Africa. But was it really up to Dave to find that out, or should Flight Centre have known about it when he asked them?
At the end of the day, you go to Flight Centre because they're meant to be experts in their field. If Flight Centre gave me that original advice, I wouldn't have had any problems.
But does Dave have a legal leg to stand on, or is the fact that he signed Flight Centre's terms and conditions enough to get them off the hook?
If Dave hadn't asked the specific question, what are the travel requirements to get into South Africa, Flight Centre could rely on the exclusion clause in their contract and they wouldn't have to pay him anything. However, Dave did ask the question. He was entitled to an accurate answer. He didn't get one. He's entitled to a remedy.
With that legal opinion in mind, Target contacted Flight Centre. Here's what they had to say. For starters, their lawyer disagreed with that opinion, saying any failure to accurately answer Dave's original question did not amount to misrepresentation, and so he isn't entitled to anything. Flight Centre also said regarding their terms and conditions,
most airlines and travel companies have similar stipulations that clearly outline that it is the customer's responsibility to ensure he or she has a valid passport, visa and re-entry permit to meet immigration and other government authorities' requirements. While our consultants can use the benefit of their experience to advise customers, we actively encourage customers to refer to government websites or external companies that specialise in this area.
Now Target accepts Dave could have looked a little harder for the information he was after. If, for example, he had checked the safetravel.co.nz website as Flight Centre advised, he might have found it. However, given that Dave was booking tickets to the biggest sports event of 2010, in Target's opinion, Flight Centre should have had that country's specific passport information at hand. Because if travel agents don't have such information, it's one less reason to use them in the first place. Dave is now considering taking Flight Centre to the Disputes Tribunal. Finally, you won't travel far without one, a passport. But here are some of the things you need to know before you show at the airport. For starters, check it has at least one full blank page in it, more if you're travelling to multiple countries. Ensure that it also has at least 6 months left till it expires, as many countries have this as a condition of entry. And seasoned travellers take note, excessive wear and tear can also be grounds for refusal of entry. If in doubt, you can always contact the embassy of the country or countries you're visiting. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs website has a full list of foreign representatives to New Zealand.
So far in our trial of body piercing, we've seen some bad hygiene practices, even when gloves were worn.
Remember, we want an industrial piercing at the top of the ear. Meet Jessie. She's just 15 years old, 1 year under the legal age to get her skin pierced, according to local Auckland bylaws. Her first stop is at Streetwise Body Art Limited in Newmarket, where the technician issues consent forms straight away and...
I need photo IDs as well.
Our actress hands it over, but the technician misreads it.
Can you run down and get some more? Because I've only got 16. All right, cool.
Next, she's directed to the treatment room. The technician washes and dries her hands. That's good. She's about to put on rubber gloves, but contaminates her hands by running them through her hair. Then once on, she does it again, and then closes a drawer with the other hand, contaminating both gloves. Next, she uses calipers to measure how long the piercing bar needs to be, this time touching our actress's hair.
It's a common misconception that latex gloves make everything safe. The reality is they're only as safe as the surfaces they touch. And let's face it, hair is definitely not sterile.
She cleans the area with betadine, again touching her hair and skin, and marks where the piercing will go with a marker pen. This is not recommended as it could cross-contaminate, especially as she doesn't disinfect the area again. She gets our actress to approve where the piercing is going, recontaminating the clean area. What a waste of time. Even our director gets her hands in, wiping the hair away, and she hasn't washed her hands. She remarks the ear, handling the pen and ear with the contaminated gloves. Then she removes the bar from its sterile packaging, placing it on a piece of tissue for cleanliness. But it's no longer sterile as it's touched her gloves. And now she's touching the door handle. This could be very unclean and unbelievable. She wipes her hands on her jeans. This is extremely poor attention to hygiene. She then cross-contaminates the bar and the piercing needle. She uses her bedside manner to try and get our actress comfortable.
Concentrate on nothing but breathing in and out.
Then she grabs the needle to do the piercing, brushing her hair back again.
At this stage, our underage actress pulls out as we don't want to break the law, but it's obvious that the technician was willing to. Remember, our actress is 15.
The penalty for breaching this bylaw is a fine of up to $20,000. They make their excuses and they leave. So, although it looked like a clean environment, the technician needs to learn a lot about safe hygiene practices, especially when it comes to keeping her hands out of her hair. We've scored Streetwise Body Art Limited in Newmarket 5 out of 10, and they respond.
As your group of actors came in on her first solo day, she clearly became overwhelmed. Although she has completed extensive piercer training, she has been stood down for further training.
After the break on Target, there's no consent form. And what about age checks? Our trial of piercing studios continues.
And in our product check, find out what's really in powdered fruit drinks.